recording today's presentation. First, apologies for the mix-up with the
This is
link.
her mother, Amanda.
Um, but I am glad that we have everybody here. I'm glad that y'all are here today with us to learn a little bit about the importance and value of cross-training for nonprofits. We
Well,
have with
thank
us
you. I
today.
appreciate that. But she is going to go next.
We have with us today Shanta McDowell, who is really a skilled expert at this particular subject matter. So I'm going to turn it over to Shanta so that we maximize our time, and I'll let you say a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself, and then jump right into the presentation, okay?
Okay, good deal. How's everybody doing?
Doing great.
Okay, thank you. Who am I? I am Shanta McDowell. I'm an author. You can find my books on shantamcdowell.com. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm also the executive director of Finding Your Way Out of Poverty. And I have did a lot of training with managers, with leadership, as well as youth and young adults. That is what my nonprofit does. It's a nonprofit that helps youth and young adults develop their leadership skills. There are 3 reasons why people don't get the job done. 1, they can't do the job, they don't want to do the job, and they don't have what they need to do the job. A lot of times I go in organizations and people, hold on, somebody say anything? Did anybody say something? Okay. A lot of times I go in, she cannot hear me. Hold on. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine. I don't know who was having trouble, but I hear you
Thank
clearly.
you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. A lot of times I go into organizations and people just don't do this one thing, keep it simple. I've flown out with corporate execs, and a lot of times when you're dealing with cross-training and working with anybody who's helping you run your organization, a lot of times you just have to keep it simple. I've trained people from multiple states, and a lot of times they have pressure on them because they're regular people and they just want to feel like they have everything they need. And a lot of times it's up to leadership to give our team and our staff members everything that they need to run the organization. If you see in the picture that you see now, this is just different groups that I have gone around and traveled around and trained. The first thing you want to do when you bring somebody in is you want to create buy-in. And buy-in is just a process that says you're going to support the idea, the project, or the initiative. Who starts the process of buy-in? Leadership does. A leader is the one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. John Maxwell. Even in the nonprofits that we are, did somebody say something? Oh, guess not. Whether you're a nonprofit or from for-profit, people are your greatest asset. In everything you do, you should begin with a strategy to win. That means know your team, include your team, give your team what they need to succeed. I'm gonna tell y'all a story. I went to this particular organization, and you had total chaos. They were trying to get an event done, and the planning was off, the preparation was off, and everybody was in total chaos. And it all started from the beginning, the strategy. They didn't have a strategy. And once I moved around and I started to talk to the team members, they absolutely knew what to do. but they all had to get together and use their ideas so that they can get accomplish their goal. And it didn't take me very long to get them where they needed to be, but they ended up getting the project done, and they end up all doing well, and they ended up helping each other, assisting each other with all of their ideas that they had. They brought them to the table, and we're going to talk about that. Around 30% of nonprofits fail or shut down within the first 5 years, and key challenges include lack of funding, poor planning, limited community engagement, and difficulty building a sustainable donor base. Are any of you facing any of those challenges right now? Michael, I cannot see questions if they can have them.
They should pop up in the chat to the side of your presentation.
Do you see any
I don't
questions?
see no questions at the moment. I'll let you
Okay,
know.
does anybody have any questions about that? Okay. Operations. Identify and train on all areas and positions that directly impact your results. Process. You have the passion, but is your process solid? Technology. Is your technology up to date, and is your team trained in that specific area? Michael, I heard did somebody say something?
No, it's just a new person joining us. They'll mute once they get on. That's all.
Okay. In 2020, we learned that we needed technology. Like right now, I am a very much impersonal. I want to be around people. It's killing me that I can't see everybody's face and, you know, have a real interaction with them. But the truth of the matter is we need technology. And that was just one of the big things that I didn't do a lot of technical stuff. But since 2020, we've learned that we have to learn how to adapt, and we have to be ready for change. And that's where we are right now. Even starting this session today, we were having technical difficulties, but you know, you have to adapt with everything that you're going through. And if it wasn't for Michael, we probably wouldn't be having this training today. What does your team need? Open the door to talk about it. Meet people where they are. I see this a lot of times. Even if you want to cross-train your team members, your staff, you still have to meet them where they are. You have people that are extroverted like me. I like to get out. I like to talk to people. But then you also have those individuals that they're very introverted, but that does not mean that they do not bring value to the team. So when you do strategic planning, does your staff feel comfortable sharing ideas? Does your staff see an opportunity for individual growth? It's a whole lot more likely if you have people that are working together and they can get value out of what they're doing as well. Is your team seeing, you know, where they can get individual growth? Is it a win-win for them? Cross-training is essential, but building strong relationships is equally important. To help your staff develop strong work relationships, create a win-win opportunity for your staff members to add value to one another. It's so much fun, or you have a lot more fun playing the game with others that you have good relationships with. And, you know, people, like I said before, people, you know, are one of our greatest assets. We want to make sure that when they're working together, that they have good relationships. It's a whole lot easier for me to cross-train and work with somebody if we have a good relationship. And this is just simple. Some of the simple things, you know, it doesn't take a lot. You'll go over somebody's head. You know, if you're frustrated at work and you have that one person that you can just go to and say, hey, you know, this is what I need. Can you help me with this? It's a lot easier for them to get a response if they have a good relationship. Celebrate your wins. Everyone who's at work today, everyone who is on this call right now, on this seminar, you want to feel appreciated. You want to feel valued. You know, you have some people that they go to work every day and they feel beat down with a lot of work. I run a nonprofit as well, so I know that it takes a lot of work. The more you grow, the more work you have to do. So it's you want to go to work and you want to feel appreciated and you want to feel valued. Cross-train and simplify. Develop relationships that add value and a win-win opportunity. Motivate and encourage, celebrate small wins. Does anybody on here have any questions about ways you can motivate and encourage your team? Michael, looks like I'm gonna be talking to you if nobody's asking questions.
Well, if anybody wants to chime in with ideas or ways that y'all have cultivated motivation or encouragement or celebrated small wins, y'all could do that too.
Well, my name is Jackie, and I'm a member of several veteran organizations. Can you hear me?
I hear you well.
And what I do to encourage the members of the nonprofit is throughout the month before a meeting, I text them, thank them for their service. I keep them informed of events, and also we do lunch every now and then outside of any activity that we have going on.
Anybody else? How many of you saw the challenges with cross-training from 2020 to 2024 with your team? What challenges did you have from 2020 to 2024 with cross-training your team? Michael, you can answer that question as well.
One thing that I think probably everybody on the call has some experience with is working for a nonprofit or an agency. If some folks are here from agencies that are short-staffed, they have a small staff doing a lot of work. And so to me, that's the primary challenge, is figuring out how to do a lot of work with few people. And I guess on our end here at the Alliance, what that's meant for us in the last year or so, since I've been here, because that's really all I can speak to, is trying to figure out, all right, what in addition to your job responsibilities are your strengths? What are you good at and what do you bring to the table? What skills do you bring to the table and how can you contribute to the work? And how can you also cross-train staff in that area, in your areas of expertise? So that's been my experience with it here at the Alliance.
And that's all about that buy-in in the beginning, buying in to the, to the goal and to the ultimate mission of the nonprofit. Is you want people like that go the extra mile, because I'm working with a nonprofit right now and they're working on $100 million project, but the staff that does everything it's a small nonprofit. But at the end of the day, everybody who has their certain job and responsibility, they're doing their jobs. Plus, we are also helping each other, with our own small missions. I have another question too, just to open up to keep the dialogue going. how do y'all handle job shadowing and finding outside resources? Michael?
It looks like there's a 662 number. Somebody's come off mute. I don't see your name, but you go ahead and chime in.
Better go ahead.
They may not have meant to come off mute.
Well, I can't hear. Did you understand that question? What do y'all do for job shadowing? And then I'm gonna tell you what I've been doing, job shadowing. And I forgot the second part of it, but what do you do for job shadowing?
Okay, I have a question. My name is Chastity Webster Watson. When you say job shadowing, um, could it, I guess, could we define it as like I'm the HR director for the Institute for the Advancement of Minority Health. So when I think of job shadowing, I think of allowing employees in certain positions to kind of shadow those that are in higher positions to kind of assist them in advancing their career trajectory within the company. So are you meaning job shadowing in that instance?
Incorrect. I am.
Okay, well, at the Institute, what I like to do is we have of course, a org chart, and we have at the, I guess our lowest level employee will be our outreach specialist. So upon onboarding, I always ask the question, what is your career trajectory? Where do you see yourself within the next 5 years if you stay with this organization? The goal is always to take a outreach specialist and move them to a program specialist, take the program specialist, move them to program managers. Program managers will become directors, so on and so on until you reach an executive level or you transition to another organization to take on a larger role than what we have available here at the Institute.
Now, you just made a valuable point that is a win-win for everybody. I just job shadow with you, so that means I cross-train, and so it's a process in place to where I can have advancement in my career. And does anybody else have anything similar to that at their organization? Anybody? So we're going back to begin with a strategy to win. And that's that job shadowing. That is a perfect example of how they set somebody else up to win, but you're always training people and getting people prepared. The next thing is not on the screen, but finding outside resources to help you with, especially Michael, what you said, you have a small staff. How do y'all handle finding outside resources? Michael?
Well, here at the Alliance, one thing we do is we, and our members benefit from this too. We're members of different associations and different networks of organizations that share out information. And we, as individual staff members, keep tabs on that. And if a training comes up that seems relevant to one of the units, like our programming team could benefit from a particular training, we'll share it with one another to make sure everybody's aware in case they missed it. So there's a lot of that, like back and forth, like, oh, I think you would really benefit or enjoy this particular training. So that's one way, keeping our eyes out for what's available.
Well, for me, reaching out and building those key relationships has allowed me to get a lot of resources, develop those relationships that add value. It's true that we work with, in nonprofit, we work with we have small numbers, but it's also true that we always can partner with other people. and, partnering, just like being on this phone, on this call right now, partnering, having partnerships with the Alliance, it's a good thing to have. And partnering with other nonprofits is that can help you in your field. So that's also a good way of getting help when you're in small numbers. I'm going back. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, when y'all do y'all strategic planning sessions, how do y'all develop the plan so that every department is included?
Hi, can y'all hear me?
I can't hear you.
Okay. I'm Cindy DeFrancis. I'm from Lynn Meadows Discovery Center down on the coast, the Children's Museum. When we do our strategic planning, we have an outside entity come in, and they're the ones who lead the strategic planning sessions, and we invite all of our staff members, all the way, custodians, anybody, the entire staff, and the board members to come, and everybody has an opportunity to give input. And I think throughout the course of the year, we have staff meetings where everyone is invited to come and always are able to share information. And so I think during strategic planning is just another process where they feel comfortable enough sharing their ideas. And I just want to give an example. We have a young lady who works here. She started out as a volunteer, and she is special needs, and we ended up hiring her because she was so valuable in the work that she was doing. And so during one of our staff meetings, we were talking about a small space in the museum that needed to be transformed into some type of an exhibit because it was basically wasted space. And she was the one who came up with the idea of making it a sensory space, a sensory room. And so we took her idea and made it come to fruition. And we now have a sensory space in our museum that is probably one of the most well-loved exhibits in our museum. And it was because of her idea, and we took it and ran with it. And so we do everything we can to make all the staff feel comfortable in sharing their ideas.
Wow, that's a wonderful story. Does anybody else have any story, has a story similar to that? And just by her opening up and creating that sensory space for you guys, that probably would have encouraged somebody else to share their idea as well. And we never know what our staff members know how to do. Sometimes they just need an opportunity, and that opportunity was presented to that young lady. Does anybody else have a story like that they like to share?
When we do our strategic planning here at the Institute, it's a two-part training, a planning session. So the first part includes all staff and board members. During that time, we do outsource a strategist that comes in to kind of spearhead that meeting so that our staff feel comfortable sharing. This takes the bias away of having someone from the executive team to lead the meeting. And they are given the chance to rate the institute, rate the organization, the pros, the cons, what they feel could be better about management. They get to do an overall rating of our CEO and founder. And then the second part of the strategic planning session is when the information, the strategist takes the information and she kind of compiles everything and she brings it back, and then we go over it anonymously. She doesn't give names, but our director learns the information about what she could do better within our organization. executive team members, the same thing. And then we sit down and have a collaborative session where we decide basically the direction that we like to see the institute move towards. We address any hurdles, challenge areas, and then we highlight the areas within the organization that are running smoothly and that are robust at the time.
That sounds great as well. Is anybody challenged with not being able to get people to participate in their community events? Michael,
Are
you
you
see
meaning
anybody?
community participation or organizational wise, like state?
No, no, not staff, community.
We have really good turnouts at our events. So.
And I do too. And I have good turnouts as well. But I asked that because that's going to go all the way back to your cross training and your staff, how your staff is presenting things to the public, to the general public. Michael, did anybody have any problems in that area?
I don't see any comments in the chat.
Y'all see any comments? Do any of you have peer training, peer-to-peer training within your organizations? No?
Okay, I feel awkward. I keep answering the questions, but
No, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
At the Institute, what we do is, of course, we encourage peer-to-peer training as a first source, because within the programs, the staff collaborate and work with each other, and that's what we would first prefer. If peer-to-peer training does not work, then the executive team would compile a in-service training where all staff, because that means that evidently everybody needs to kind of be brought up to speed on, whatever the situation may be. And if no one in the organization is able to, I guess, provide an in-service, then we, of course, we would outsource a professional to train on in whatever area we needed.
And I guess you probably, that question, some people probably needed that question, but they didn't want to probably say that they needed it. They needed an answer to that. Do anybody have any questions on cross-training that I have not covered? All right, Michael, it's only 11:40, so I'm trying to keep this going until 12.
Well, if anyone does have any questions, y'all feel free to come off mute or drop them in the chat. Nikisha asked about a brief summary of what was covered in the beginning. Nikisha, we got started around 11:10 when we sent out that revised link. If you'll let me know or let Shanta know when you joined, we can share some of that information that you might have missed. Does anyone have any questions though? Y'all want to share in the chat or come off mute and ask about today's topic?
And I focus a lot on I can't see what you all positions are, but I focus a lot on the leadership because at the end of the day, if the culture of your organization is gonna start with your leadership. It's gonna start with your leadership, creating, getting that buy-in. And those words right there, whether it's nonprofit or for-profit, people. It's all about the people who you work around. And again, begin with a strategy to win. Know your team, include your team, give your team what they need.
Well, if no one has any questions at the moment, if you don't think of any off the top of your head, you're welcome to send them to us, to send them to me or to Shanta. But I'll send a follow-up message after this too, with, well, it won't be immediately after this. We'll get the link to the training put up on our website, and then send that out to folks who have been participating. So y'all can catch the first bit if you missed it, or you can go back and review. And if you have any questions, you can just send them our way. We finished a little bit early though, so unless there's anything else to wrap it up, it looks like y'all will have about 15 minutes head start to y'all's lunch break today. Does that sound good? Don, does that work?
Okay, thank you. Have a great day.
All right, thank y'all all for being here. Appreciate y'all. See you next time.
Wow, I see everybody now. This was so awkward.